Today's review is The Wolfman. This is the legacy collection of the Wolfman films. This review will only be of the first one, the classic, the landmark werewolf movie, starring Lon Chaney Jr. Excellent in his role as a man unfortunate enough to be stricken with the curse of the lycanthrope turning into a wolf at the sight of the full moon. This is, needless to say, this is a classic film. And kind of what makes it work is that they don't make it a cheesy film. This is a fairly serious film. About this character who very sincerely is worried about this curse that has fallen upon him, and of course no one believing him except for maybe the gypsy characters, which are a staple of the Universal horror movies. It would seem there's always like a gypsy in one of these movies who kind of knows the lowdown basically, and it's his character Lawrence Talbot and his father John Talbot, who kind of uncover the secrets of this curse basically. And of course there's a love story brought into it, but as it would be with these types of movies, it is a tragic one. Now this movie, I mean, if you're used to a certain type of werewolf movie, maybe this won't hold up quite as well. Like, we're very used to, say, the extremely seamless type of werewolf transformation, like you'd see in, like something a little bit more modern, like the Van Helsing, where it gets like ridiculous. Like, there's that one scene, if you remember Van Helsing, you know, they they're in that castle, and some beams of moonlight are like shining through, and the second they pass through, boom, werewolf. Then out of the moonlight, not werewolf, boom, werewolf. Something like that. Or don't even want to bring Twilight into this, but werewolf in 5 seconds. So this kind of brings kind of like a happy medium to that, like where you'd see something like American Werewolf in Paris or in London, which is a lot more intense and gradual, or like The Howling, also pretty gradual in the transformation. So this is kind of more in tune to those types of transformations. So this kind of set the bar for what a werewolf transformation would look like, and needless to say, the effects aren't up to standard with what we'd see today. So you'll see a lot of fade effects. So you'll see fade from makeup stage 1, fade from makeup stage 2, fade from makeup stage 3, etc., etc. But I think for what it's worth, it's done very well, and it's even kind of more intriguing that way because, like, though you are watching this transformation in the movie, the discerning viewer in you kind of recognizes, okay, so they're putting on the makeup on him one step at a time. He probably had to sit there or stand there or whatever for hours as they get each little bit ready, get the camera ready, and you can kind of appreciate the effort that went into that. So for what it's worth, I mean, the werewolf effects, they do hold up very well. And as opposed to, say, something like Dracula or Frankenstein, as far as I know, I mean, the Wolfman didn't have a specific type of literature to follow. It just had the folklore to follow. So it follows the standards of what you would see in a werewolf movie, and in so many ways set that standard. There is obviously, this isn't the very first werewolf movie ever, but it did kind of set the standard. Full Moon, Silver Bullet, so it kind of set that standard of the general kind of rules that a werewolf movie would follow. And again, I think what sets it apart and what makes it so good is that they do play the material legitimately. I think the performance from Lon Chaney Jr. Is exceptional. Like, you get like a sense that this man is absolutely cursed. Like, you sense it in his very, the fiber of his very being. Like, he has that look, that cursed look. It's hard to describe, but he does it so well. And even with Claude Rains playing his father, a very legitimate kind of role. So I think the acting for this kind of a movie is top notch. So it's not like it could have been cheesy, but I don't think it is cheesy. So I think the material is played straight, and it has really great, you know, scenes of werewolf carnage. Basically, you just kind of like, I'm a werewolf kind of thing. But I think it works. I really do. So I appreciate this movie as a classic. Maybe not like my favorite. I don't think it achieves as higher of a level as something like Frankenstein does, but this, needless to say, it has its place as the classic that it is, The Wolf Man. It's really just a very entertaining movie and a staple of horror. So it's definitely worth seeing. Surprisingly, I was watching it again recently, and it's actually shocking how short it is. It's like an hour and 10 minutes long, which is crazy to think about that it's that short. Like even at the time, that seems like kind of a short movie. But it gets the job done basically. So it doesn't linger around, which you can appreciate too. Not overstays its welcome. And I'm sure at the time they could get a lot of playtime at the cinema. Play it as many times as they need to. So yeah, I think it's a really good movie. I enjoy it. Definitely something you gotta watch during the Halloween time. You gotta familiarize yourself with the classics. Always fun to do. And of course, it kind of set the way for other Universal monster movies to come, which were very enjoyable. House of Frankenstein, Frankenstein meets the Wolfman. So I mean, if you want to look at it as an origin story, you can think of like the Universal movies as like the Marvel movies of their time. So you had like the standalone movies that established the characters, but then you also had the crossover movies, which were very popular. So that's nothing new, Marvel. uh, so there's that. So I think it set the way for a lot more to come. So as it is as the first Wolfman outing, very entertaining, very well made, very legitimate in its story and its acting, very well done. So that's my review of The Wolfman. I really much enjoy it. Stay tuned for more 31 Days of Horror reviews every day. Thank you very much for watching, and until then, see you later.